it's been a pretty impressive 100 chapters. Eden Zero is now at 100 chapters. It's been a little over, what, 2 years? 2 years since Eden Zero came out, and now Hiramashima breaking into that triple digits for his third series. 3 in a row of just really successful series. Always really fun. I am happy to see the series do well, and I think it's been picking up a lot of traction lately too, and people have been getting into Eden Zero, and I've been liking and enjoying that. So obviously, what happened in the previous chapter, the defeat of Drac and Joe happened, and everything was just in the aftermath of that, big battle on Belial Goer, and now, like, where exactly is their story going? Like, they're all back on Blue Garden, and you have Noah, and he's talking to them, and he's like talking about how now Drac and Joe is in the custody of the IUA, the Interstellar Union Army. I'm hoping that I can actually have their names memorized for once. I don't know what it is with that group. For some reason, it just doesn't stick in my head. Like, I remember Gaea right away, but something about like the main one, I was just completely blanking exactly on the existence of said place. But anyway, now he's like talking to them. He's like, okay, cool. Now we have Drac and Joe. The soccer cosmos is doing well. Shiki is still displeased. They're talking to him. You can tell he's still really annoyed about Noah. He doesn't trust him. He knows that he was a danger to Rebecca, and he's not too keen on that. Very obvious he's not too keen on that. Even though Rebecca seems kind of okay with it, and Homura seems pretty alright with it, but while Homura's talking to him, she just like kind of goes over like, we didn't do this for the cosmos and the peace for like these planets. I mean, I imagine them, it's kind of like, yeah, we kind of like we're happy that people are gonna be live better, but that's not, that wasn't our intention initially. That was just kind of something that happened during all this. Like, we thumbs up, but it's still not like what our intention was. Either way, they're like, oh yeah, we could give you like a big award. Could be a ceremony in your guys' honor, but we're gonna keep it quiet because of obviously the Cat Leaper stuff, and they don't want the information of Rebecca's crazy ether gear of like a degree of time travel getting out and putting her in more danger. So they're just gonna keep the people anonymous. So I'm wondering if the fact that they're keeping them anonymous will ever come back. Like, if that's gonna end up being like maybe someone looks into it. I think it'd be fine, but I don't know, who knows? Because there's still, obviously 5 more people of Drac and Joe's caliber. How many of them are gonna be like of the same level of spotlight and importance? I don't know, but I feel like there's gotta be at least, I would say at least 2 others that would probably be like more important. And maybe Hiramashima will be able to kind of save time on them by making them more of like maybe a duo enemy group, kind of like well, not entirely what it was, but Doryu and Ogre were in Wraith Master. Unless the Erastion Says Collector are gonna be kind of like the main bad guy group overall of Eden Zero. Because we don't know how many like villain groups are out there, and we know that there's gonna obviously be like some end villain. I think a lot of people believe it's gonna be Ziggy. I think Ziggy is theorized by a decent amount of people to be like a big enemy, but maybe the Jurassic Space Galactic will just be spread out longer, and it won't be kind of like, yeah, they're done halfway through, and then we forget about them. I'm thinking maybe they'll get kind of utilized more throughout the story. To kind of be like a much larger aspect. But like after all that, like you have Noah revealing that he's actually like the Guildmaster of the Shooting Starlight is a cover, it's a front, and his true position is that he is a member of Gaea. And because of that, this is all just kind of like something set up. He's part of the Galactic Intelligence Agency, and he's got to keep an eye and an ear out for everything. So I'm interested to see like where Gaea's at. Like, I'm wondering if Gaea is like a higher spot than the IUA, or how exactly that's going to be. They haven't explored much when it comes to these 2 groups. Like, we have like the IUA as like the space military, but again, like there hasn't been anything really within Eden Zero right now really going into it. Like, we barely know anything about Justice, and he's the Sieghart Jalal of Eden Zero. I'm wondering if when Hiromishima's ever, if he's at what point he's ever going to go more into the whole like maybe like connection between them, because he's definitely noted the fact that he's fully aware of some of these characters. They look very similar to other ones. Like obviously there's no way he doesn't like he didn't draw Elsie and Justice as well as Jalal going into like Fairy Tail with the idea of like it's in some way like they have similarities from previous characters. I think he does it on purpose, and I'm wondering if maybe he's got like a plot related reason as why that is later on. Like I'm wondering like if we're gonna get like if you've ever, I've mentioned before, if you've ever played Bravely Default, there's a character in there that like there's the multiple versions of him throughout time are in some like weird meta group where they kind of like they all know each other. They eventually meet up. So you have just a bunch of different versions of one character from different points in time that are allied together. It's a little bit weird. If you've ever played those games, doesn't even ring a bell. I can't remember his real name off the top of my head, but if you've played the games, you know what I mean. It's a really weird kind of mindset, or not mindset, like plot idea, but maybe something like that for Jalal, I'm thinking. But who knows in smaller aspects of like where exactly that's gonna go. After that point, like we have the question of what exactly is next in the series. Like, is it going to be another Ration Space Galactica? I'm okay with that. I think though that it's going to be pushing more towards stuff with Ziggy and Ziggy's past. I mean that seems kind of obvious by like the end of the chapter that he's going to be involved in it, and then the mystery this one in Eden's 1. I'm pretty hyped to see about that, because I think that is a very, very weird kind of setup that maybe there's more of them. Maybe there's going to be Eden's 2 and Eden's 3. Maybe they're like from a special fleet, and there's like a couple of them out there somewhere in the world, or in the universe. But Noah ends up wanting to talk to Rebecca alone. Shiki's a little bit hesitant on that. I did like when Shiki was talking about like when they found out like he was a member of Gaea, and he's like, because of Amir, he's like, well, a friend of a friend, it's like maybe this guy is my friend. He's not too sure. He's hesitant on it. You can tell that he's a little bit bothered by him, which again, like with Shiki, who is very, very excited to make new friends. Like Haru is a little bit more chill. Natsu would be like, I don't know if I fucking trust this guy. He'd be a little bit more pissed, but he would eventually, he's a forgiving guy. He learned forgiveness. Shiki, like since we've met him, is way more like hyped at becoming friends with people than either of the other two. So seeing him hesitant on becoming friends with somebody is actually really surprising. But he ends up like leaving Rebecca to talk to Noah, who he's discussing at one point of like he doesn't like, she wants to know like if he's known her since she was really little, he's kept an eye on her for so long. She wanted to know if maybe he knew anything about her parents. So I think that's going to be maybe a bigger plot thing to come later. Like, I don't know. I'm very curious about that, because when you look at Rave Master, Ellie's parents were relatively nobodies, and then you had Haru's parents, who obviously his dad was a big deal, and then you had Fairy Tail, like both to a degree. Like Lucy's ancestry was important, but her parents like weren't that important, or they were more important, I'd say, than like than overall. They're more important, obviously, than say like just some random character. Where Natsu's parents were just kind of nameless. We don't actually have their names. They didn't really do anything. They just unfortunately died. They were just some guys who were sadly caught in an attack of a dragon. So I'm wondering what Hiroshima has plans for Shiki and Rebecca's parents, and like what exactly he's going to have set up for that. But I mean, there's definitely an aspect here that there's going to be a bigger thing going on. Like, to what degree, I don't know, but there's obviously a hint that there's going to be something about them. There's got to be something about her parents that make them a bigger deal, and I think that we'll probably have to wait a bit for that. I mean, it doesn't seem like maybe it's a big plot point at the moment. Maybe maybe one of them is a member of the Ration Space Galactica or something. Maybe that one of them is going to be a member of Gaea, or maybe just some form of mysterious individual in space. We'll have to wait and find out about that. But then there was like some stuff about Captain Connor, and like how nobody in the Eden Zero remembers him, but also very interestingly enough that like one of the reasons they were able to get to where they were going is because Captain Connor knew like a way around the debris field that instead of it being like a 3-day trip, it was a 1-day trip. So that alone made it very interesting in the fact that, okay, well then how did we get there in such a short period of time? In Universe 20 and in 29, there was this debris field that made it so they, it was harder for them to get there. Whereas in Universe 30, the debris field never existed. It just wasn't present. So, like that, it obviously raises a lot more questions. And then they theorize maybe there's another person with Cat Leaper, or maybe it's Rebecca further in time doing something at this point in time. Like maybe there's a point where she has like some big time travel portion. She has to go back and fix a bunch of stuff. Very curious on that. Very curious on like what Hiroshima has planned for that there. So definitely like a plot point that we'll eventually figure out like what's going on with that one. But very intriguing to start with. I'm very hyped to see where that goes. The Captain Connor stuff though I find way more interesting. Like there was stuff in here like you had Lobelia like having interactions with Rebecca, and even after they kind of had like some nice ones, she like posts like embarrassing videos of Rebecca online, and then she does like a silly face at her. It's like, you're never gonna beat me as a beekeeper. And I think that from this point she stops, like I see her stop kind of being entirely a kind of like bully and more of like a tsundere rival, because this part she doesn't come off the same way at this scene as like the other ones where it was just raw humiliation trying to hurt her and be mean. In this one it seems more of like she's just she's getting a one-up on somebody that she's competing against, which I think makes it a lot better. I think makes her a little bit more likable. I think doing the silly face when after she does it just to kind of be like haha, but at the same time it makes it a little bit more playful. While the the statement at the end when she's like, you're never gonna beat me as a beekeeper, just it makes it a little bit more I think a little bit more not friendly, but more like a rivalry setup rather than just straight bullying. And I did like frustrated Rebecca. I thought that was pretty funny. She's just like, son of this bitch always picking on me. And after that point, like we do get to find out what exactly is wrong with Clean, with Sylph. And I figured it had something to do with the fact that she doesn't really seem like to have emotions, and she's got that little robot in her head that, gives off emotions. So, like, Sister does straight reveal that, like, somebody stole her emotions, which, interestingly, like, a very interesting thing. I think I've seen that in a couple other series, like one or two others. I do really like the little, robot emotion hair clip. I think that's a really neat character trait. So I'm happy that she's in the crew. I'm happy to see that she's going to be sticking around, and obviously Jin. I've expressed how much I like Jin's character, and I'm very happy to see him stick around. So I'm looking forward to like what he does beyond this. And then at the end of the chapter, I'm just kind of like moving a little bit fast, because even though there was stuff with like Jin and Billy that I thought were interesting and I set up, and now they're like, all right, before we go get Mother, like Shiki wants to go back to Grand Bell. He wants to see maybe if the other the robots there are maybe doing all right. I don't think they will. Maybe they will, but he also wanted to visit his grandfather's grave, and that's like when we see at the end of the chapter that Ziggy's robot corpse, like one of the eyes light up. So I'm very curious to know what happens there, and it's damaged. So I'm wondering if like before he died, maybe he like fought somebody or something. But there was a bit at the end with Eden's 1. And it's not just that, for one, I like the design. I think the design is cool. One of the guys I talked to about Eden Zero posted a picture, and it's I'll bring it up just because I thought it was interesting. It's a Dunkleosteus. I don't know how to pronounce that. It's a big fish, and it's the same, like the way that it looks is very similar to like this, this ship. But so I'm wondering why that specific ship, if there's a reasoning behind it, or if it was just, it's a badass, really gigantic, scary looking fish that, was like the size of a damn elephant. But the design wise, the thing that makes me interested in it more, I think this part specifically of the chapter, is that it has it's obviously like it's different than the Eden Zero, but it has traits of it. It's like it'd be from the same brand. Like if it was, if you bought ships from like a specific creator, like that's what I imagine when I see this. It's like there's somebody out there, obviously, who made this ship, and maybe it's like there's a couple different Eden's ones, and that's why it has the number Eden 0, Eden's 1. Maybe there's an Eden's 2, 3, 4, who knows how many there are, but seeing more at some point, obviously being part of what I'm putting out there. So very interested to see in what Mishima does more with this. I very much want to know what the plan is with these other ships. So we got Captain Connor though, and obviously he hasn't met the crew in this timeline. So him going also to Grand Belt, I'm hyped to see where this goes, because if he's going to Grand Belt, there has to be a reason for it. It can't just be like coincidental. I'm guessing that Ziggy will be the connection point of like what happens, or what exactly there is between Eden's 1 and Eden's 0, and maybe more Eden ships. Anyway, other than that, though, comment below. Thumbs up the video, from the like button, subscribe button, and check out my other videos. But other than that, I appreciate everybody's already subscribed, and I thank you all for listening. Bye.